Welcome again to another Explore Africa series. Are you excited to be here today?
Yeah! Yeah!
And today we're going to be looking at African cuisines and ingredients. So essentially, African food. And it's going to be delicious and yummy. So we're going to look at introduction, as usual, objectives, general history, timeline, quiz, and conclusion. So what is a cuisine? It is a style or method of cooking, especially in relation to a specific culture, people, or nation. And what makes African cuisine unique? Because it is a rich tapestry of flavors, colors, and textures that reflects the continent's diverse cultures, landscape, and histories. Okay, African cuisine has ancient roots with diverse indigenous ingredients and cooking techniques developed over centuries. The cultivation of staples like millet, sorghum, yams, and various tubers formed the foundation of many African diets. Ancient trade routes such as the Trans-Sahara and Indian Ocean trade facilitated the exchange of spices, grains, and cooking ideas. So the first objective that we're going to look at is the different African cuisines that we have. And through that, we're going to explore the origin and history. Then the second part of the objective is how and where they are served. Explore how food are combined in specific dishes and kinds of events. Some of them are served. Then we look at the importance and sentimental beliefs around some of this food, i.e. nutritional values and societal status. So general history. African dishes have become popular around the world, so much so that the conversation has focused on their spiciness, recipes, appearance, and nutritional value, and more intensely on ownership, especially when it comes to jollof rice. Okay, there's been a lot of jollof wars, right? Where whose jollof is best, where jollof came from, who is a fan of jollof. So we have a lot of discussions, going on in the social media about this. So African dishes have gone global, first via the transatlantic slave trade, and most recently through migration, social media, and viral videos. The best known example is, again, the jollof wars. Okay, that's the one that a lot of people know very well, especially across the world. That when you talk about jollof, you know exactly that jollof is an African food. African dishes are a reflection of history, culture, beliefs, and a natural environment, which often dictates the prevalence of foods from their society of origin. So now we go into general history of some of the dishes that we have and have become popular around the world, and we're just going to go through some known ones. And the idea is we look at the raw material that made that the main component of that food, and we kind of have an example on the left hand side, the kind of dishes that food can be used to make. Okay, so we have the pearl millet, which originates from areas which includes Mali, Mauritania, and Sudan, and an important source of dietary energy such as iron and zinc. The food that you can use, or you can create, or you can make from the pearl millet is vegetable pearl millet, which is what we can see on the left hand side. Then next up, we have the guinea corn, and these are traditional staple ingredients for food, drinks, and beer. And some of the food that you can make from guinea corn are like, guinea corn pap. And the pap, the Yoruba word for pap is like ogi. It's like a breakfast kind of food in Nigeria, and you can have that ogi with things like akara. So the next ingredient that we're going to look at is guinea yam, okay, which originates from West Africa, i.e. Ghana and Nigeria. Go on.
Guinea yam. This one.
There,
No.
that's the tuber of yam there. Yes,
There.
that's the yam.
Guinea yam.
And from that yam, you can make food such as pounded yam. And not only that, you can make, you guys have done this, where you actually make yam chips from yam tuber. You can make smoked yam from the same ingredient. And with that smoked yam, you can have it with fish, smoked fish. Yeah.
So you have to peel the skin of the yam.
Yes.
And then cut it like into little lines.
Thin slices, yeah.
And then you cook it, and then when it's done, it's yam chips.
Okay, well done. The next thing that we have is cassava. And cassava is not actually from Africa originally. Now it's been grown in Africa. The Portuguese trade merchants actually introduced cassava to Africa from Brazil around the 16th century. And now the kind of food that you can make with cassava is fufu. Fufu is like pounded yam, okay? But it's more starchy than pounded yam, okay? And it's nice as well. It's very nice. Then the other thing that you guys have probably eaten that is from cassava is gari.
Yes.
You can put milk in it, you can put sugar in it, you can put water in it,
No.
you can put
Cashew
granite in it, and it's heaven. Then the next thing that is one of major African ingredients is tomatoes. Introduced to Africa again as early as the 1920s. Now Egypt and Nigeria are like the largest producers in Africa. The food and the drinks that you make from tomatoes, you've seen that, tomato soups. Tomato is the main ingredient in jollof rice. You have, spicy sauce that you can make from tomato mixed with pepper and meat. So we call it assorted meat. So you use tomatoes quite a lot in a lot of African dishes. Then palm oil. Your mom's made beans for you guys, right? You've had beans a lot of times. Palm oil is mostly used to make beans, the kind of beans that we make. Sometimes some people use vegetable oil to make beans, but most times people use palm oil, and that's what gives it the reddish color. So, but palm oil is a major component in a lot of African dishes, mostly used in soups like owo, banga soup, and asaro. Asaro is what? Do you know what asaro is? Yam and palm oil, okay? You got asaro in the freezer. Palm wine. Who has heard of palm wine before?
Palm wine?
Never, okay. Okay, so palm wine is distilled derivatives of palm tree. And palm tree is where you can see that man on the right hand side. So what they would do is they will, I think, make incision on the tree, okay? And they will put these bottles close to that incision so that whatever liquid is coming out of the palm tree goes into that bottle. Now they would then do some post-processing work on that liquid that they've gotten from the tree, and then that makes this delicious African wine. The next thing that is very popular in African dishes are spices. Okay, most African spices come from local leaves such as bay leaves, cinnamon, cumin, ginger, and sesame seeds. And the kind of food that you make, you guys know that already. From spices, it's like having suya spice, right, with meat. You have spices used in vegetables. You have spices used in rice recipes. So you cannot have African dishes without having spices. Okay, and the spices have different levels. Very spicy, mild spice, or extra hot spice. The next thing is the soups that are very popular across Africa and in a lot of form, served with meat, fish, or vegetables. And these are like we know the pepper soup, fish pepper soup, meat pepper soup. What you're looking at on the left hand side is a peanut soup. Okay. On the right hand side you have okra, and you have okra soup as well. So soup is a very important part of African dishes. Okay, and it comes in different forms, and people make it differently. So the timeline, I'm just going to break that down into the different parts of African regions. So in North Africa, there are two distinct timelines that we have. So we have the ancient Egypt, and we have the Arab and Ottoman influences. So during the ancient Egypt, we have the ancient Egypt period was influenced by the Nile bounty. The ancient Egyptians cultivated grains, vegetables, and domesticated animals. During the Arab and the Ottoman influences, the Arab and the Ottoman conquest introduced spices and methods of preserving food. Then in West Africa, we have two distinctive timelines, which is the pre-colonial era and the colonial influences. So during the pre-colonial era, West African cuisine emphasizes grains, root vegetables, and a variety of proteins. Then during the colonial influences, European colonization introduced new crops like cassava, maize, and cooking techniques such as frying. In East Africa, two distinctive eras stands out, which is the ancient trade routes and the diverse staples. During the ancient trade routes, East Africa's coastal regions engaged in trade, incorporating spices and goods from the Arabian Peninsula and India. The diverse staples in East Africa are the maize, millet, sorghum, and teff. These are all staples, while dishes like injera and ugali are widely consumed. In Southern Africa, we have two distinctive timelines where the indigenous ingredients prevailed, and we have the Brahai tradition. The indigenous vegetables, grains, and meat, including game, contribute to the diverse cooking landscape during the indigenous ingredient era. Then in the Brahai tradition, the South African barbecue tradition known as Brahai is a cultural and cooking cornerstone. So the quiz time. Question number 1. Which African country is known for its tradition of braai, a barbecue or grill? A. Nigeria. B. Kenya. C. South Africa. Question number 2. How did cassava get to Africa? A. Arabian trade. B. Portuguese trade. C. American trade. Question number 3. What kinds of food can you make from palm oil? A. Pounded yam. B. Asaro. C. Gari. Question number 4. What is the source of palm wine? A. Palm oil. B. Cocoa tree. C. Palm tree.
Palm tree.
C. Question number 5. What ingredients are used to make jollof rice? A. Rice, tomato, pepper, vegetable oil, spices. B. Yam, beans, rice, palm oil. C. Cassava, coconut oil, rice, carrot, spices. Have you written your answers?
It's
All right.
American.
So, in conclusion, African cuisine is a vibrant and evolving cooking mosaic, intricately woven with the continent's history, cultures, and natural resources. From the bustling markets of Marrakesh to the coastal kitchens of Lagos, the flavors of Africa continue to captivate and inspire, inviting food enthusiasts on a journey of taste and cultural discovery.